Welcome to the Ghost Babes podcast, where we talk about the paranormal. I'm Matilda Crow, and I'm with my co-host Janie Slash. And today we are talking about creepy pastas, the scary stories told online. So, Janie, what is your all-time favorite creepy pasta?
Candle Cove.
Candle Cove. And what's Candle Cove about?
Have you read it before?
I have not read.
Are you familiar?
That's the only one I have not read yet. Is Candle
It's the
Cove.
only one out of all of them.
I think so. Out of all of them, that from the past, not right now. You know,
Why have you not read Candle Cove? Just out of
it's
curiosity, does it not spark your interest? Does it not strike your fancy?
it's just one I haven't really heard of. It probably didn't. Did it originate on 4chan? Because all the ones that originated on 4chan I've read.
Don't know. So I am late to the game. I never was on 4chan.
Mm.
I was never on 4chan. I just started looking through Reddit like a few months ago.
Okay.
I listened to most of my creepypastas through YouTube.
Yeah.
There's a YouTuber that I follow on there that reads just pretty much creepypastas. So that's what I would work when I worked a corporate job. Would just like type and do my morning work and listen to creepypastas.
Mm-hmm.
So it's essentially about a children's show that a bunch of kids. I think it was in the 70s. I haven't read it in a minute. But a bunch of kids in the 70s would watch this TV show. They all remembered this really demented TV show, and they would try to talk to their parents about it. And they were like, you would watch it every single day at the same time, but they would just be staring at static on a TV. And they remember all these crazy demented characters from this show, and one of them was called the Skin Taker, which was like a skeleton that wore the skin of humans, and
What
just
the
all these
fuck?
crazy demented characters. Yeah, and they were all trying to lure them to Candle Cove.
So it was like a
And there was a
creepy
big
version.
evil like pirate ship and a terrifying pirate. Yeah.
So was it like a
So I
creepy
just kind of
version of Pee-wee's Playhouse, sort of?
I guess, yeah, like a demented
Okay.
kind of Pee-wee's Playhouse. It was, if you watch Channel Zero, which I couldn't get into, that was kind of the main source material for Channel Zero, and I tried really hard to get into it, but
Gotcha.
I just couldn't do it.
Okay.
But yeah, it's really interesting, and so it's kind of actually, I think it takes place kind of on a thread where somebody's like, "Hey, do you ever remember Candle Cove?" And they're like, "Yeah, I used to watch it." And they start talking about all the different characters, about like the pirate and the villain and the skin taker, and they kind of go back and they realize, and their parents are like, yeah, you would sit and just watch static like the TV show. The parents couldn't see it, but these kids all saw it. And it's just kind of unraveling the mystery of Candle Cove.
That sounds a lot like another creepypasta that originated on Reddit as well. Reddit No Sleep,
Hmm.
called Mr. Bear. And it's like a
That's
very
interesting.
similar to that, where there was a kids TV show. Now it's only one person recollecting it. It's not like multiple people, but saying they like used to watch this show called Mr. Bear, where he would take these kids into a basement dressed up in a bear costume. Yeah. And he goes and he visits the
God.
set, well, the quote unquote set, which is a random house in the middle of the forest. And with his dad as a teenager, because he gets a letter from Mr. Bear going, "Come to my basement." And yeah, it's freaky. It ends up with like child sacrifice and shit. It's craziness.
So I'm gonna have to check that one out. I don't think I've
Yeah.
heard of that one.
It's along the same lines as what you described.
No, I
Yeah.
kind of like demented television shows for children, especially because growing up, we had a lot of really demented looking television shows that weren't supposed to be scary, but if you kind of look back, you're like, what the hell were they thinking when they were like, this should be a children's show? I'm not opposed to it. I'm just saying that I remember those. It's definitely not the same as kids shows today.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely a creepy concept, I would say. And anything to do with
For
children
sure.
and horror is always a creepy concept to me.
Kids terrify me. Kids terrify me.
I mean,
Well,
the idea of children alone terrify me.
we should do a whole episode on the things kids say that are terrifying.
Oh, the past life ones are the creepiest, where they're like, I remember dying on a battlefield, and I'm like, what? What?
Just the random shit kids say. You're like, what? I used to be a preschool teacher, and they would say the weirdest stuff to me, and I was just like, I don't know. I hope that's
Yeah.
not real.
Yeah.
Or pictures they would draw when they draw their imaginary friends in there. And you're like, why is your imaginary friend holding a knife? Or who is this person,
Yes.
this extra person with like glowing eyes? Or why is this person like, imaginary friends and things like that? They're
Ooh,
terrifying.
creepy. So creepy.
Yeah. And then my close second is the Russian sleep experiment.
Oh.
That's a really good one. And there's a really good short film that was made. I think there's been a few people that have made short films based off
Yes.
of that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that one is just so demented.
Yeah. No, that's
And it's terrifying to think things like that actually happened.
yeah, I remember reading that one. That one was a really, really good one.
Yeah, and I mean I know that one's not true, but there are
Yeah.
similar things that
Yeah.
happened.
But
I
it,
didn't want anyone to think that I was saying that happened because it did
No,
not actually
no,
happen.
no.
It is not a true story.
there were people for the longest time who thought it was a true story, and that's what makes it so good.
Was
Is that
one of those people.
it was
Especially
convincing.
when you see that image they associated with it and they post it, that it kind of haunts your
Yeah.
dreams. Once you've seen it, you can't scrub it out of your brain. You can't unsee it.
Yeah, the I've seen that image. It was an art installation, I believe. That
Like,
yeah, that they used as like a reference picture for that story, and it to this day it's always been associated with the Russian sleep experiment. So I'm sure that artist is grumbling somewhere about
I mean,
that.
I would be thrilled if some type of art that I created ended
Yeah.
up being like used for a creepypasta.
Yeah,
As long as they give me credit,
that's
that would
true.
be the only thing.
That's true.
I don't know if that artist has received credit for that. I just know that image has been shared multiple times.
They
with that
have
story.
not. However, the Slender Man one was.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Slender Man is terrifying too.
Yeah. Yeah, Slenderman also. Slenderman was one of the ones. There's a lot of creepy pastas out there that originate from art. Like somebody makes a creepy, like art, and then somebody makes a story behind it. And Slenderman was one of those where somebody photoshopped an old school um, photo of children playing on a playground in like the 50s or something, and they like put this Slender Man person in the background, and so somebody saw that and went, oh, that'd be a cool story about a Slender Man coming for children. And so that's where that story came from too.
Yeah.
So
I don't. Oh, that's terrifying.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't like Slender Man. I don't like the Hat Man. I know he's not a creepypasta, but I don't like Hat Men. I'm not going to take any Benadryl for the Hat Men to visit me tonight.
I'm taking all the
thank you.
Benadryl. I want to see
You
all
love
the Hat
those
Men.
Hat Men. You love those Hat Men.
I love them. They're kind of like those creepy stories in, like, like Spirited Away. There's like some of those spirits that just stand there
You know,
and watch.
I've never watched Spirited Away.
Okay, well, that's what the Hat Man reminds me of. Is like one of those.
People
spirits.
are always surprised to find out I've never watched any of those movies, and I'm just like, I have not.
They're so good though. They have spirits and cryptids and Japanese
Spirit, and they're
cryptids in
spirited
it, and-
away.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've always been, shoot, what's it called? Well, never. Is it kaiju monsters? Is that what it is? Yokai monsters. Yokai monsters.
Yeah, yokai.
I love the yokai monster movies from like the 60s and 70s. Those are fun.
Yeah, those are
The
fun.
weird like Japanese ghosts. I like the umbrella ghost with the tongue. I think it's the umbrella ghost, right?
Yeah.
I haven't seen him in a minute.
There's also a toilet
But yeah,
ghost
definitely.
too. In Japan, there's a toilet ghost, and that always makes me sick.
I love that anything can be a ghost in Japan. It's like, oh, it's an inanimate object, but now it's haunted. Here it comes for you. I really don't want to sit on a haunted toilet. That seems miserable and terrifying.
I don't know. That might be fun. That might make pooping fun. I don't know. I don't know. I think it would
You
make it
fear it.
interesting at least.
You imagine the ghost would be like, hey, come here and shit in my mouth. And you're like, no, absolutely not. Walking away from the ghost toilet now. Like, no, thank you.
Come shit in my mouth. Those are words I never thought you'd say.
Well, that's like ghost toilet words. It's not Janie words. I would never say that.
Somebody clip
Ghost
that.
toilet, what?
Somebody clip that. No, just kidding.
Somebody's gonna clip that and be like, "She said that." I'd be like, "No, Ghost Toilet said that. I did not say that. I said that being Ghost Toilet."
Oh man.
I'm gonna be memed so bad on accident.
So, so your other favorite was Slender Man, of course. What made you like Slender Man so much? Was it how it permeated
Don't.
culture, or
Oh, I don't particularly. Slenderman is not my favorite.
okay,
Just the Russian sleep, just mostly the Russian sleep experiment and Candle Cove are my favorites.
gotcha.
I am fascinated in Slenderman because of the whole crime case surrounded by it.
Oh
That it was
yeah,
used. He was used as a reason for that, and it's terrible and tragic and sad.
yeah.
But definitely interesting to find a creepypasta being involved in true crime.
I'm just glad that girl lived. Like
I am too. Yeah.
that girl was strong. She had so many stab wounds, and she crawled to the road. Like that's craziness to me. I couldn't even imagine the trauma of that. But yeah, these mental illness is no joke. If your kid is showing mental illness, please take them to a professional. Don't let that happen to anybody else, please. Sorry for the cough. I'm sick, y'all. But
I hope you feel better soon. It's not the flu, is it? The flu's
it
been
was
going around.
it was the flu, and
Everybody's getting the flu.
it was it's like a chest and head flu. So I had a cough, sneezing, fever. It was all. I'm better now. I'm just coughing up all this shit that's sitting in my lungs. But yeah, it is horrible. Don't get it.
Try not to. It's very hard being in the public all the time to
Yeah.
not get sick.
Use lots of sanitizer. That's all I have to say. The only reason
I
I
have-
got sick is because my husband goes to an office for work, and he
Yeah, you
brought
don't
it from
even
his
leave your
office.
house.
Yeah.
Did he get sick at least too, or were you the only one?
Oh yeah, he was the first one to get sick, and then I got sick
Okay.
after him. So I know I got it
Okay.
from him. Yeah.
Well, when I used to be a preschool teacher, I would always never get sick, and I'd bring it home to everybody else in my household.
Mm.
I had that
Mm.
badass immune system. I'm that jerk. But back on track. So yeah, the Slender Man. But what are your favorite creepypastas? Since you've been you've been reading them from the beginning.
Yes, I've been there since the start. I was there when it was built.
I'm the worst millennial ever. So
I was a 4chan lurker. I am not saying that with any dignity or respect whatsoever, but I was a 4chan lurker. I was a B-tard, and I was an X-chan lover, which X was a paranormal forum on 4chan. It's kind
okay, yeah.
you think of No Sleep on Reddit, that
Mhm.
was X on 4chan.
Okay.
So I have here an original, which was Ted the Caver. Now, this one's not my favorite, but I'm going in chronological order here. Ted the Caver was the OG creepypasta. And it was so OG, it wasn't on any forum. It was its own website where
Okay.
this guy it was an actual caver, and he had a blog on a website where he would like blog about spelunking in caves, and like he would post pictures on there, kind of like a live journal, you know. So he had this idea of playing a prank on his family, like his parents, and like making this one blog about a cave he found with his best friend. And that cave ends up being like this ancient thing that's like taking him over and shit. And it's so convincing that people were concerned for his health and safety.
That's that's impressive.
Yeah, like he
That's some good writing then.
yeah. It is one of the most convincing OG creepypastas out there. And it was basically he was talking about how he kept hearing this humming, and he thought there was a road above them or something when they got deeper in the cave, and then they had to like drill through the walls to get to it, and it turns out there was like these old formations that looked ancient and shit. And he was talking about how his head would be buzzing when he left the cave and stuff, and is like, oh my god, like. And so, yeah, it was all a joke. It was all a joke, but it ended up being one of the very first creepy pastas ever online.
Is there something like calling him to the
Yeah,
cave?
yeah, that's exactly like where the story was
Come
going
back.
with that.
Cave.
And then it like ends abruptly, so it feels like he went back to the cave and never came back, and that was part of the joke. And I was like,
Hmm.
how cruel are you to do that to your family? How cruel.
I mean, we kind of are a part of the found footage generation where a lot of movies, not a lot, but they're where the very popular like Blair Witch Project.
Yeah,
It was kind of like, is it real? Is it not real?
yeah, yeah. I
But I
think
mean, if you
that's
think
where
about this, where what?
I think that's where he got like the idea from, was like Blair Witch Project, where like
Well, which was first?
I think Blair Witch Project came out before he posted that, because Blair Witch Project was in the 90s, correct?
I think it was a cusp, like 99, maybe
99.
2000, maybe 2000. Yeah,
I
I
want
think
to
I was
say
like
it
12
was
or
98
13
or
when it came out.
99. But his
Quick Google.
his came out in 2001. So it was after.
99.
Okay. So his was in
I
2001.
remember. I remember when Blair Witch came out and I was like 13 and it was so everybody was like, "Oh, it's real. It really happened." And then they all showed up at like the MTV Awards and they were all live. But I remember thinking this is wild. This could happen to you.
um
So, but also we were in that was at the early days of the internet where before like you couldn't there were all those movies coming out at the time that all looked like found
yeah.
footage and you couldn't really do like you do now where it's all accessible and easy to
Yeah.
find.
Yeah.
And you were like, is this real? Is this really happened? Is this some type of footage that somebody found and created a movie about it? Because there's so many, not that we're jumping into found footage, but there are so many really actually good found footage movies
Oh
from
yeah.
the early, like late 90s,
Oh
not
yeah.
early 90s, but late 90s, early 2000s.
Um yeah, I think that was part of the idea with this blog he made, was like, I'm going to do something like what Blair Witch did. Cuz
Mhm.
he knew that he thought only his family was looking at this blog, because it's not like he was getting high numbers to this blog before this. But I guess somebody read it outside of his family and started spreading
Mhm.
it online, and that's when it became a creepypasta. It's crazy how these things go viral. Um, Another one that originated, was one of the OGs, is The Rake. And The Rake has like a creepy photo that goes with it, and it looks like, I put it in the Discord chat. It's pretty creepy.
The photo, talking about creepy photos that like align with creepy pastas.
Yeah, it looks like a hunting trail cam photo of like somebody on crack with no teeth. That's the best way I
It,
can
yes,
describe
I
it.
saw it. Yes, I saw it. I saw it. It's definitely interesting. It's low key terrifying.
Yeah.
Very terrifying.
But the rake is, it's basically just a concept. Like, there's no like big elaborate story that goes with it or anything. I mean, there's been stories added to it afterwards, but the original was just like, it was kind of like a creative poem of sorts. It's only like one paragraph, and it talks about how you increase your speed knowing that night is not the only thing drawing closer. Like lines like that, you're like, holy shit, the sound increases as your pace and heartbeats quicken. You turn in, and you turn in the fading light, catch a single glimpse of the hunched, crawling thing that is pursuing you.
Hmm.
Like, that's some creepy writing right there.
Yeah, for sure.
But
That.
basically, he's
So is it
like,
like a cryptid or more like a mythical creature? It's more like a mythical creature, right? The rake.
no, it's supposed to be like a skinwalker, where like it's stalking humans in the middle of the forest kind of deal.
So Skinwalker is considered,
A cryptid, I believe.
or is it a mythical creature, or is that both?
I think, well, I think it's a cryptid because a lot of people in the Appalachian Mountains believe in it.
See, I thought the Skinwalkers were real. Haven't you watched Skinwalker Ranch?
I have not watched
That's
the newest one.
wild show.
I have not watched. There's a new TV series about Skinwalker Ranch that I have not
I
watched yet.
tried to watch it and I got very bored.
Oh yeah, was it
Hmm.
like Bigfoot Hunters, where it's just like a lot of them sitting outside and just not doing anything?
They're just kind of talking about it, and I was like, "This is not exciting." It takes a lot to hold my attention.
Oh, gotcha, gotcha. So it's just them
You
telling creepy stories to the camera. Is that
They're
it?
just kind of talking about experiences and things that have happened out there.
See, I like that shit. I like that. I rather you tell me than show me because the moment you show me, it becomes
You
less
don't
scary to
you
me.
don't you don't want the reenactments?
No.
Just so Skinwalker Ranch is just known for paranormal and UFO activity.
So there's no skinwalkers.
The ranch's name comes from Navajo legend about vengeful shamans who can shapeshift into animals or humans. So they're shapeshifters.
So it's just
So
named
it's
that.
legend.
There's no skinwalkers on the ranch.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of that thing where it's like if you named something like Bigfoot territory or Bigfoot land or Bigfoot ranch,
That's
and then
true.
you're like, it's got paranormal and UFOs. And maybe they spotted a skinwalker there, or maybe it's just because it's that territory. I'm not sure. I'd have to do deeper research. I don't
I don't
really
know.
know. The show didn't hold my interest enough.
I know there's definitely not deer in the Appalachian Mountains. I know that for damn sure because
Have you?
my dad's family's from Kentucky, and we got stories for days of that property in Kentucky.
Hmm.
They're called not deer
They're called
because
not deer.
not deer
Why are
because
they called not deer?
because you think you saw a deer, it not a deer.
What is?
It like it'll stand up on hind legs and start saying things like hello. That's not a deer.
No,
that
terrifying.
that
It's a
is a
skinwalker.
yeah, that is a skinwalker. That's what that is. You the thing is you can't say when you're in a territory that has skinwalkers or wendigos depending
You
like
can't
on
say
the
it
language.
because
You can't say it cuz
that
that's
brings
inviting
them.
it. Yeah. That and don't whistle at night. Whatever whatever you do don't whistle no.
Is it the Rougarou? Is that the other one? You're not supposed to
I think so.
mention
Yeah.
the
Well,
alligator
that and wendigo. Don't
crocodile.
say wendigo out loud either.
Yeah,
Um but yeah, not so that's why it's
just
called
inviting. I'm not inviting anything.
yeah.
I don't want to.
That's why it's called not deer. That's a way of saying it without saying it. Is saying, "Oh, there's not deer out there."
Makes sense.
Yeah. So that's the rake is kind of like a not deer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it all it does is follow people around and like, it'll follow you home and shit. It's creepy. Um but that was a concept that came up on B on 4chan. Somebody wanted like a monster concept and somebody came up with a rake. So,
Like that. I'm a big monster girly myself.
yeah. Yeah.
I love Godzilla, Bigfoot, giant alligators in the sewers, shark octopuses, whatever.
Yeah. Speaking of monsters, the have you ever heard of the SCP Foundation?
No.
Okay. Oh God, this. All right. Majority of this podcast is going to be me explaining this. Just kidding. I'll try to put this in like a bite-sized explanation. So,
It's totally fine.
the SCP stands for Secure,
Enlighten us.
Contain, Protect. So, you remember Cabin in the Woods, the movie?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you remember when they go to like the people who are releasing the monsters and stuff? Like, they had that the underground vaults with like all the different like monsters and ghosts and stuff. Okay,
Hmm.
that's what SCP is. Secure, contain, protect. So it's this like a notion that there's like this super secret organization, kind of like Men in Black, where they get all these anomalies, whether they be inanimate objects or actual things or monsters or even people, and
Hmm.
they put them in these cells and they contain them and test them to see like
Mhm.
what all they can do. Like for example, there's an the one I'm talking about today is SCP-173, which is the original SCP. So the original
Okay.
SCP was introduced to 4chan, and
Mhm.
it's has a nickname called Peanut.
Mhm.
But the picture that I have in there with it
Named Peanut.
yeah. It looks like an adult, like a overgrown sized baby made out of concrete. That's what it looks like. And this was an art installation that this is one of those creepy pastas that comes from an art installation, right?
Yeah.
Somebody saw a creepy art installation and their imagination went wild. And so
Okay.
Peanut basically is one of those where if you look away from it or blink, it'll get closer to you. Once it gets you, it snaps your neck and you're dead. Kind of like the
Okay.
Weeping Angels from Doctor Who.
So, have you seen the movie Butterfly Kisses?
I have not.
Okay, so it's very much similar to that. There's essentially, I believe it's like a hat man,
Uh huh.
and they're saying that if you go to the specific place at night and you try to photograph it or at a certain time, every time you photograph it, it gets closer and closer and closer, and it keeps getting closer and closer and closer for 7 days until it snaps your neck
Oh,
or it kills
dang.
you.
Yeah.
So
This
it's
is,
very much that. But
yeah.
this is like a found footage type documentary where the documentary filmmaker is going insane while making it. You should watch it. I think it's on Tubi.
Okay. Yeah. I'll give a look. I have Tubi.
We should we should do a whole episode on found footage.
That would be fun. But yeah, the SCP-173 Peanut, yeah, that he's like a weeping angel from Doctor Who, where like you look away, he gets closer until he snaps your neck. So that
from Luigi's
started
Mansion.
yeah.
Boo! He's
Pretty much. The so that started the whole SCP craze. And I'm guessing you didn't know this, but there's been countless SCPs added to this lore. There's even a rubber duck that plays jazz that is considered an SCP. There is a plague doctor that's considered an SCP, where if he touches you, he kills you with the plague. Um, there is an SCP that's just a theatrical mask, like the laughing, crying masks, you know? And once he takes over a body, he tries to kill as many people as he can.
um,
Kind of like the movie The Mask, but like really negative.
you mean he doesn't turn into a very fun
No, not fun at all.
Baraka shaking?
But yeah, there's a ton of SCPs. There's been short films. Actually, I'll send you one. There's a really good short film on YouTube about
Hmm.
SCPs, about the SCP Foundation. And then there's a couple of great video games that are SCP based. So, yeah, they so yeah, I really like that one cuz that started a whole big culture. And then my absolute favorite actually came out in recent history on No Sleep Reddit. And that one is I'm a search and rescue officer for the U.S. Forest Service. I have some stories to tell.
I've read that one. That one I am familiar with.
That one is so good
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of it is based in stuff that people have seen out
Mm-hmm.
in national forests. Now, there's some things that are clearly made up
Mm-hmm.
for like creative license. Like the stairs in the middle of the forest, that's not a real thing. But it's a scary concept. I will give them that. But the
Mm-hmm.
whole people like disappearing and then showing up dead, but their bodies don't look all the way decayed like they should kind of thing happens all the time. There's just some people are found up in trees. They don't know how they got up there, and there's no like evidence of like a wildcat pulling them up there. So
Mm-hmm.
they don't know how they got up there. There's like all sorts of stuff. But my absolute favorite
Mm-hmm.
is the story about the guy who was screaming at like the top of a cliff or something, and the search and rescue person got to them, and they
Mm-hmm.
didn't have a face. How are they screaming if they don't have a face? That's a
Maybe they
really
were screaming when the was taken away. Is their face gone, or is it just they don't have a
no,
face?
like it's
It's just
like no
void.
face, no eye holes, no
Just,
nothing,
just void.
just void, just like
That's wild.
skin.
Hold on
Yeah.
one second. Okay, I'm back.
Welcome
You're still
back.
there, right?
Yeah.
I had to plug my computer in. I forgot to. Okay, we're good. Keep going. So he had no face.
Yeah, he had no face, but he was still screaming. And then there was
He
another.
was still. Wait, wait,
He
wait.
was
He was
still
still
he was still
screaming.
screaming.
I didn't know this was that kind of podcast.
No, he was still screaming. Like he was like full lungs screaming and no mouth.
I always like the stories about encountering the hitchhikers that have been missing, and they encounter them and they're still trying to find their way, but then they get back and they see like a missing person flyer or something.
That's
Those types of
crazy to me.
stories are always wild to me. It's like you're just eternally stuck out there. Which all these stories are making me feel really good considering I just decided to take up hiking as my new hobby in 2025. I'm actually going to Arizona this week to go hiking.
Oh boy.
hmm We're going to Bisbee for it to go check out an old mining town, and we're going to stay in a hotel that is haunted, called the Inn at Castle Rock.
Ooh. Ooh.
By the time this airs, I will already have been back from my trip, so
I'm
you
sure
can't
you
stalk me
yeah.
there,
I'm sure you'll be fine. I'm sure you'll be fine. Uh
friend. So I'm not alone.
I think as long as you have your GPS turned on your phone, as far as like people find you, like, the Find My Location app or whatever.
I get lost so easily. I will go missing one of these days. It's just
Well,
a matter of where.
you can
You're
send
gonna be clipping this and putting it somewhere later. I'd be like, where did Janie go?
you can you can send me a link to like share my location so that way I can be like, "Oh, Janie fell off a mountain. Let me go get her." And then a not deer will come and get my ass, knowing my luck.
I'm taking a ghost tour
Ooh,
on Monday night. The Bisbee Ghost Tour. So maybe come back and tell some stories about Bisbee ghosts.
this will be fun. If you see a random set of stairs in the middle of the forest, don't go on them. That's all I have to say.
What about the desert? How do we feel about stairs in the desert?
Stairs in the desert, I think, are fine.
Stairway to the desert.
I think that should be fine, right?
I don't think I'm going to be in any forests anytime soon, so we should be good. I live in Texas. There's nothing here. It's so flat.
Um, have you ever heard? There was a newer one too called Baraska. Have you ever heard that one? The only reason I didn't put it on the list is because I didn't think we would have time, but we do have time. Baraska is written by one of the writers of the Haunting of Hill House series. Before they did that,
Mike Flanagan or
no, one of the like co-writers, not like the main writer.
oh, okay.
Like assistant writers and stuff like that. So like that
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
who
yeah.
she
I
is.
thought
Yeah.
you meant like Mike Flanagan did it.
Oh
I
no
was
no
like,
no
ooh,
no
Mike
no no
Flanagan's
no.
a creepypasta
I would
writer?
have said that otherwise.
I
No.
could not get into the Hill House show. I know you love it. I
I
couldn't get into it.
love
I did
it.
enjoy Midnight Mass, but I think most of it was just because that guy
It
had a
was
rockin' cardigan.
well that and it's faster paced. It's a faster paced show.
And it's vampire.
Yeah. It's a faster pace because it's about a monster, not about ghosts haunting people. You know,
I
those
don't like ghosts. They scare me.
monster movies tend to be faster paced, more action in it than or
Ghosts scare
yeah,
me.
ghost stuff. But yeah,
So yes, the creepypasta.
Baraska. Oh boy. Baraska is one of those that like when you read it, you don't expect the ending and you're upset by it, but in a good way. You know how like something really upsetting can happen in real life and it really affects you, like 9/11 or Tiananmen Square, things like that. That's how Baraska affected me. I was depressed for weeks after reading that story, so I do not suggest anybody read it if they're in a dark place already.
I guess I'm gonna have to go read it so I know what you're talking about.
It's quite the twist. It's
Uh,
quite the twist at the end.
or that's interesting. Are we going to do honorable mentions of Jeff the Killer and Laughing Jack?
Jeff the Killer. Oh, Jesus.
And Laughing Jack.
And Laughing Jack. And what's the other one that's akin to that? Um, Timmy Taffy or something like that? Or Taffy Timmy? I think it's the
Anything
other
about
one
that.
that's like same level of of creepypasta. Yeah. God damn.
The extremely brutal ones.
That is not brutal. That is 12-year-old uh gore porn. That's what that is. That is 12-year-old written gore porn. That's what that is.
They're not the best written.
No, it's
No.
horrible.
No.
It's horrible. It reads like a 12-year-old wrote it.
But the cursed images, I think, are that makes them most notable. Not the
Oh
best of
yeah, for
stories,
sure,
but
for
the
sure,
imagery of it is more
for
so. That's
sure.
why I didn't. They're not my favorites for sure.
Yeah, the
But honorable mention of the disturbing art.
the
There was a YouTube. There was a whole like one of my favorite YouTubers because I watch a lot of YouTube was talking about where the image of Jeff the Killer came from.
yeah.
My bunnies have found my the shim that I use to shim up my desk. So hold on one second. Hey Pikachu, can we chew that? Can we not chew that? Keep going. Keep going along. My children.
Gotta love pets. Gotta love pets.
I have 10 of them, so
I'm so glad I only have two. I only have two to keep track of. Otherwise,
I
I'd
have
be a
10.
hot mess.
I have 10.
Good luck with that.
I love them all.
I know you do, and you have the capacity to care for them. I'm just saying, I would
We're
not
doing-
have the capacity to take care of all those animals. 'Cause
I was reading in this group I'm in that's like, what do full-time performers do to regulate their time, like, and to stay on track? And I'm like, well, I own 10 animals, so my whole morning is spent feeding and cleaning up after them, and then I train and clean the house.
There you go. Gives you something to do.
I'm the most disorganized full-time performer.
Oh man, what's some other creepypastas that I feel like we're missing a couple of like originals or big ones out there.
We have to be. We have to.
Trying to think. Oh, what was the? Hold on. I'm on creepypasta wiki. Hold on, I'm looking. Um, there is a creepypasta wiki. It's like an official
Top-ranked.
site.
Yeah, I was looking at it. I'm on it
Yeah.
right. I'm on creepypasta.com, but ADM and REM, I don't know that one. The Sinking House? How did they find out about my house? I don't know what that's about. My house feels like it's constantly sinking. Do love this house though.
Random stories.
Memories of the Graveyard Shift. Titchy Toby? Is that the one you were thinking of? Titchy Toby?
No, it was like Timmy Taffy or something. I had Taffy in it.
The Bright Yellow Terror. That one time
Ooh.
in high school that I had to wear a yellow shirt. That's a
No,
joke. I don't
No
have to
End House is another one that I forgot about. No End House.
I found a letter from my stalker.
I thought you were talking for real for a second, and then I realized
No.
you were reading out a title, and I was like, "What?"
Did I ever? No, but for real. Okay, so for real, one time, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, in a different lifetime, I was
Yeah.
living with one of my exes, and I was getting the mail one day, and I noticed that when I went to go get the mail at the mailbox, there was this like folded up piece of notebook paper, and I opened it, and handwritten on it was the words "I'm watching you." And then it had the name of my ex's ex on it. And I just stood there outside the mailbox and just looked around, freaked out, and was like, what the hell? and then just ran inside and locked the door.
Do you think somebody's girlfriend was playing a joke on you, or do you think this was like some deranged ex-boyfriend of yours?
I know, no, it was my ex's ex because they signed their name on
Oh,
there.
oh,
No, yeah, I'm not going to say their name, but
yeah, yeah,
it's
no,
a very giving name. Like if I say it, people who know me are going to know who I'm talking about.
yeah, yeah.
But
No,
like
no, don't
they
do that.
wrote their name on it, and I just remember because I was like I think I was like 25, 26 at the time, and I was alone, and I was just like, what the hell?
Yeah, yeah. No,
Like
no, thank you.
who does that? And clearly they drove it over there because it was just a folded piece of paper sitting on the top of my mail. So that's my creepy pasta.
That's your real life creepy pasta right there.
Ooh, Squidward suicide.
Ew, why?
Do you know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
I know which one you're talking about.
The supposed last episode of SpongeBob.
It's so bad. So...
The images freak me out.
Uh,
I'm sorry, it's the one that popped up at the top. I'm gonna get canceled.
no, you're good.
Things like
You're all good. Oh my god.
I like
Squidward's
SpongeBob.
Squidward's unaliving.
So sad. Creepy
Oh
pastas are
man.
disturbing.
I'm trying to think. There. Oh. Well. Anyways,
Those are just the ones that are on the cover page. Ooh, the pasta of the month. Do you think it's a nice rigatoni?
maybe.
Happy Sun Daycare. You know the disturbingness of the overarching theme of children and creepypasta is
Yeah.
something to be very
Yeah.
concerned
A
about.
lot of it features either children as main characters or they are the scary thing. It's
The
really
terror
weird.
of being a child
Yeah.
is terrifying because the world is so big and so scary.
Pasta of the
Like the
month.
ones like the Russian sleep experiment.
Oh.
I don't know. It's really interesting. The things that surround about morbid and weird children shows. You know, it's kind of an overarching theme in a lot of movies too.
Yeah.
You know, or even like Five Nights at Freddy's and things of that nature.
Yeah.
Kids are drawn to spooky, scary things. I
Oh
myself
yeah.
have always been drawn to spooky, scary things, and I think that's why I really like connected with the Candle Cove one because I feel like that's something that I'm probably might have watched as a child.
I'm gonna look up.
As we know, I'm terrified of like everything, but I am always seeking out everything scary. So that's why I love paranormal investigating, and that's why I love horror movies, and that's why I love spooky things. I'm very fascinated by the things that I don't fully understand or that may or may not exist.
Famous creepy pasta stories. Okay, here we go. Here we go. The horrors of the back rooms. Man, I can't believe I left out the back rooms. That's one of my new favorites. Is the back rooms
Hmm.
concepts where you glitch through reality and you end up in the back rooms, and the back rooms looks like. eh, Well, they've expanded on it since that, but it used to be just like old office spaces that never end, like there's no exit,
Hmm.
or like mall hallways like that only employees use, but there's like nowhere else to go, or
Hmm.
like an
Those are
old
the coolest things
house.
ever.
Yeah.
Like the back rooms of the mall, that you only know
Uh,
about if you work at the mall. Like you only have access to, or supposed to only have access to if you work in the mall.
yeah. Yeah. I definitely the back rooms is one of those like the SCP thing where it blew up into video games, other concepts, art installations, things like that. It's craziness. And let's see here. Held. I don't remember Held. You can't
I don't know
trust
that one.
everyone. Jeff the Killer is on here. Probably
I
for
mean,
the
he is.
laughs.
It's a lot of people, it is a very popular one though.
I forgot about
Not particularly a good one, but it is a
Yeah.
popular.
I forgot
Same with
about Ben
like that.
Drowned.
I saw that one too.
Yeah, I forgot about that one.
Hmm.
Um, Hoodie, the hooded man. That sounds like another Jeff the Killer one. uh, Tiki Toby. I
That's the one I saw, and you
don't.
were like, I
Okay.
don't know what that one
Yeah,
is.
I don't
I
know
think
what
I
that
think
is.
you're looking through those same lists I just looked through.
Sonic.exe is something you should definitely look into if you like Sonic the Hedgehog. Are you cut out?
I said I love Sonic the Hedgehog. I
Yeah,
wasn't trying to like say
that's
that. I just
a
more moderating that to
Sonic.
myself.
Yeah, that's a Sonic the Hedgehog creepypasta.
I was talking about how disappointed I am that there are. I mean, I'm excited and thrilled that there's three Sonic movies, but I'm disappointed that they only made one Lego Batman movie.
Yeah, that's true. Well, aren't they coming out with the second one? No, they did one about Pharrell. That's right. Williams, the singer
Yeah,
and producer.
I'm aware
Yeah.
who that person is, but I did not know. I'm aware who Pharrell is, but I did not know anything about a Pharrell movie.
Oh yeah, they
I just
made
know that I'm very disappointed that there is no Lego Batman 2.
they made a Lego documentary about Pharrell Williams. So it's like so everybody's depicted in it as a Lego person with Lego sets.
Oh, okay.
I also forgot about Eyeless Jack. That was one of the first ones too.
I
And
don't know if I remember Eyeless Jack. Does he go with the screaming, the man with no face?
he was kind of like the Rake, where he was just like a monster concept. There's not like a big story behind him or anything. Um, oh, I forgot about Igbar Bigglestein. Bigglestein. Oh man,
I also do enjoy the creepypastas that do involve pop culture.
yes, those are fun. Um, that's what analog horror is doing now. Do you watch any analog horror? Girl, you are missing out.
I believe it.
If you like monster concepts and
Where
found
do
footage,
where would one interested in wanting to watch? How do I? Okay, wait, hold on. Let me rephrase that. Where would a person interested in watching analog horror find it? Where would I
YouTube.
find it? There we
It's all over YouTube.
go. Okay, what do I enter? YouTube, like
Analog horror, and then
I.
it'll bring up like all the good ones first.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I will look it up.
Um,
I'll watch that. I watch a lot of I listen to a lot of true horror, like a lot of true stories, like horror stories
mm,
and ghost stories and mysteries and
you would like. I have a.
animated horror cartoons.
I think you would really like. I'm thinking of some analog horrors that you would really like because it has action in it, or at least monster concepts in it. I think you would like Vitus Carnus. I think you would like that one on YouTube. I think you would also like. Um, hold on, I can't remember the name of it. It starts with a G. But analog horror is like basically it's like the next step above a creepypasta. It
Okay.
originates online. If it's
Mhm.
made by big media, right, it's not considered
Mhm.
analog horror. Like the closest that an actual big production did of analog horror was Skinnamarink Doo.
Skinnamarink-Doo? What's Skinnamarink-Doo?
Skinnamarink?
You mean Skinnamarink the movie?
Yes, that's it.
Did you watch it? Have you watched it?
Yes, I
Did
have
you watch
watched that because that
Skinnamarink?
was
How
the
did you feel about Skinnamarink?
I feel like if it was a YouTube series, it would have been good. But because it's a movie where you have to sit down for so long to watch it, it's not that good.
Did you hear my story about Skinnamarink?
I don't think
Did
so.
I ever tell you my Skinnamarink story? Would you like to
No.
hear my
Yeah.
Skinnamarink story?
Yeah.
So I watched it. Watched it when it hit streaming,
Uh-huh.
and I sat down and I was like I was so excited about because the trailer was amazing, And at this point, it still was like 100% at Rotten Tomatoes. So, or maybe it was like in the 80s at this point. So I sat down and I turned it on, and I'm about
Mhm.
like 10 to 15 minutes in, and there's like this spot, and I'm just like watching this door frame, and I'm like, or not door frame, sorry, I'm watching like this wall, and I'm like, something's gonna happen, something's gonna emerge, it's gonna happen. And I've been sitting there for like 10 minutes in anticipation. Nick walks in, he's like, hey, I think your TV froze. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The internet froze. The internet had like did something to it and it froze up, and I was just
You were just
watching some
watching.
scene. Didn't even realize. I was so into it, waiting for something to happen, and it was locked up.
Wow.
And
Wow.
then I finished watching the movie, and then I was like, that was not, I respect it. I appreciate, independent horror, but it was
Mhm.
not particularly good or compelling like I thought it was going to be. I think hype killed it. Um, Maybe if I saw it before all the hype hit, maybe I'd have liked it more. I liked some of it. I liked parts of it. Parts
Yeah.
of it were genuinely creepy. It just went on too long. I need to
I
watch the short to see what the short is like.
yeah, yeah. I think analog horror only so far, somebody could prove me wrong in the future, but I my theory is analog horror only works in bite-sized content, whether that be just 10 minutes, 5 minutes of content. Um I think long form it can get boring because it's just a lot
Hmm.
of the same shit over and over and over again. Um
Yeah,
but analog
yeah.
horror really delves into things like cosmic horror, um body horror, like The Thing, kind
Hmm.
of horror. But some of the biggest ones are Gemini Home Entertainment.
Hmm.
There's one called the
Did you ever see a movie from, I believe it was the early 90s called, or maybe it was mid 90s called The Begotten?
I think so. I think I've seen that one. It sounds familiar.
It's mostly cricket sound, and it's splatter film, and it's essentially like starts out with like I believe it was Mother Nature giving birth to like Jesus or something, or cutting it out of them. It's a very
Oh yeah.
interesting movie, and it's all in black and white, and it's so disturbing. And I saw it when I was in high school. I remember just watching it and just being completely just into it, just fascinated by the imagery in this movie. And I never was bored by it, even though it was just a bunch of crickets chirping, essentially.
Oh, here's okay. So some of my favorites are the Mandela Catalog. That one's a good one. Because Mandela Catalog is about mimics, and it's
It
crazy.
makes it terrifying.
Yes, it's so crazy. And these mimics, they'll kill people and replace them. And it's so creepy. Um, uh, there's here, let me see if it'll let me comment. So this is putting it in the Discord. This is one of the images, like still images from the video. It's
Let
so
me go look at the
creepy.
Discord.
It's so creepy.
Oh, that's
One
interesting.
is the regular person, the other one's the mimic.
Hmm.
And Local 58's a good one too. Monument Mythos I could not get into because it just drags. It just drags.
Yeah.
It's about so monuments like um like those statues in town squares and stuff that important people. It's about them actually being alive,
Oh, okay.
and it, it's a cool concept, but it drags. I mean, it's been going on for a couple years now. They've been adding videos to it, and it's just like it gets to a point where you're kind of like, I'm over it, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, that makes total sense. We were not the same thing we were talking about earlier, talking about like Mike Flanagan, but not Mike Flanagan.
Oh yeah.
We watched Oculus for the first time. Have
Oh
you seen
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oculus?
That was one of his
Talking
first big
about
ones.
kind
Yeah.
of like mimics and stuff like that. It wasn't really a mimic, but the mirror. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. The mirror kind of mimicked the people, and they thought they were seeing themselves.
Yeah.
Was trying to explain to my boyfriend like why mirrors scare the shit out of me and why I avoided that movie for so long. And then he
Yeah.
made me watch it, and I was like, well, great. Let's go put freaking blankets all over all the mirrors because I don't like mirrors.
Yeah, that was one of his better early ones. That one and
I
Before I Wake.
don't think I saw Before I Wake. I know he did Doctor Sleep, right?
Yeah, he did Doctor Sleep.
And I
Yeah.
didn't really like Doctor Sleep.
Yeah, I actually enjoyed it.
No.
Oh,
No, I don't actually. I liked Hush.
Hush is good.
Hush
Hush
was
is
good.
good. Um, he did another Stephen King one, the one where she's stuck in a
Gerald's
cabin.
Game.
Gerald's Game. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That one's a good
I
one.
felt. I saw half of it. I fell asleep.
Oh, it's
The
pretty
first
good.
half I saw was interesting. I
Yeah,
mean, I love Carla Gugino. Gugino. I don't know. She's
Gugino.
amazing.
Yeah.
The mom from Spy Kids.
I think we should do a podcast. It doesn't have to be the next one, but I'm saying we should do a podcast where I introduce you to an analog series and make you watch some of it.
Did you used to watch some of those on your Twitch streams?
Yes.
Yeah, those are those weird videos you watched, aren't they? And I was like, what the hell
Yeah.
is this?
Yeah. Um,
We're gonna do Matilda Gets to Show. We're gonna do
Show
reactions
and tell.
to analog horror.
Because
Because
I.
it's an interesting thing because I essentially kind of like live in a cave, right? Like I live in my house.
Mhm.
I don't know a lot of things. I was a very sheltered child, so I'm not familiar. Like I'm just now learning about 4chan, like as of like maybe 5 or 6 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And creepypastas and all these different things because even though I'm like encroaching on 40,
Yeah.
I wasn't allowed on all that stuff. Like I was allowed very limited access to the internet. I didn't really have a computer until I was in my mid 20s. I did everything like at school and at work.
Mhm.
So it's almost like a whole new world to me, and it's very thrilling to find out about all these things. So
It's.
in you, on the other hand, we're very
Yeah.
much in the middle of all of it. It's very much your generation as well. Like I never even had a MySpace.
It's funny how, like, just a couple of years apart can make a huge difference in your
Well, there's what, like
upbringing.
six there's like 6 or 7 years between us.
I don't think it's that much because I'm 34.
Okay, so it's only like 5 years.
Yeah, I was about to say. Yeah. It's not that big of
Okay.
a leap.
I forget you're a little bit older than yeah, but not
Yeah,
much.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, like 5 years. But yeah,
I'm
4 or 5 years.
I'm a
4.5.
1990 baby.
I'm 86, so there's four. So like yeah, you're 1990s, right?
Yeah, yeah,
1990.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
1990.
I'm
Yeah,
1986.
I grew up with the family computer, and then in the early 2000s, I got my own computer in my bedroom. And that's when I did a lot of the 4chan lurking and stuff like that that I shouldn't have been doing when I was like 13. But I like to think that that shaped me into liking the paranormal because a lot of it was spent on places where these creepypastas were being posted, and
Hmm.
also like photos and videos were being shared of like ghosts and cryptids and things like that, and that got me really interested in it. So
Yeah,
I
I
don't
love
regret
that.
it.
No, you shouldn't. You shouldn't. I'm jealous. I was the VHS hoarder. I had tons and tons of
Oh
VHSs and I had all
yeah.
these DVDs and I was constantly seeking out like bootleg versions of the movies that I couldn't find anywhere else.
Hmm.
I went to horror conventions. I was a big convention person. So I was very connected to the community in a different way.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I
yeah.
think I think
A
you
lot
would.
of knowledge about more obscure horror films because I was
Oh
very much
yeah.
obsessed with horror films and seeking them out. And I worked at Blockbuster and all that stuff, and very much not great with technology, as you know, because you literally have had to struggle with me getting through this whole podcast thing.
Yeah, I was the one person in Flower Mound that, if that was my hometown, that
Same. We grew up in
I,
the same
yeah, we grew
area.
up in the same area. That was the one,
Didn't know each other though.
I was the only one renting Return to Oz like every week.
I've still never seen it.
How dare you?
I was going to the library and running like Night of the Living Dead and the Amityville Horror and
Return to
all
Oz
that
is
stuff.
the original,
Yeah, Fairuza Balk's in it. I just haven't seen it. I've always
is
wanted to see it, and I've never seen it.
is one of the original trauma movies for kids. Like it gives you trauma. Good trauma. Like the never ending story gives you good trauma.
Trauma. I am scarred by that movie.
Yeah, that's good trauma.
I am terrified.
It does.
The creature in the rock. What is he called? I always forget what he's called. I don't want to Google it because I don't want that
Oh,
image in my brain. The
the
glowing
nothing?
eyes.
The
The
nothing?
nothing.
Yeah.
The nothing.
The nothing and
I watched
Argox.
cute shows like Mr. Bumpy. He's the bump in the night, which nobody remembers but me.
That sounds terrifying.
Mr. Bumpy. Bump, bump, bumpity, yeah. Everybody bump. He had his friend Squishington. Lived in the bathroom. He was from the toilet. And his best friend Molly Coddle, which was a rag doll. And then they had the Barbies, and they'd have dance parties.
I remember this.
It was so cute. He was a green guy. Squishington was blue, and Molly Coddle was just like a rag doll.
Oh my god, I do remember this.
I
Holy
have it on
crap.
DVD. But like we had the coolest movies because like All Dogs Go to Heaven,
Oh,
like
that's true. That's true.
smoking bulldogs
That's true.
and gambling and like
That's true.
Rockadoodle, yeah, Anastasia, The
Mm-hmm.
Great Mouse Detective,
Mm-hmm.
all the underappreciated gems of our youth.
Thumbelina was one of my favorites growing up. I
Um,
love Thumbelina. But that's because I
yeah.
loved Charo and she was in it as the frog.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. That makes sense. I could do a whole episode on Don Bluth. Not that that's horror related, but like so
Yeah.
much centered around my childhood. I made the mistake of watching An American Tail a few years ago. Have you you watched that?
Yes. I've watched both
Like
the first one and Fievel Goes
oh,
West.
Five Goes West is cute. An American Tail, I was like sobbing. I was like, how
Oh
is this
yeah.
so cute and so sad at the
It's
same time?
it's
I'm
traumatizing. Yeah.
traumatized.
Yeah. It's good trauma, builds character.
I when I adopted my rabbits, my boyfriend made me watch Watership Down.
How dare he? How
Made me so that
dare
was traumatizing. It was like I want to go hug Barry. Barry is my
he?
rabbit. For those
Watership
who don't know.
Down wasn't as traumatizing to me as Plague Dogs. Plague Dogs was 10 times more traumatizing for me.
I haven't seen Plague Dogs.
Don't.
I'm not going to.
Whatever you do, do not watch it.
But the most traumatizing movie of our youth is Milo and Otis.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that.
Especially with the dark, dark backstory.
Oh yeah.
Have you actually like looked into that? I will never watch that movie again. I boycott it.
I have not looked into the dark part of it. I haven't watched it since I was young, so I don't know.
You just yeah, don't,
Okay.
don't.
All right.
They hurt so many animals filming that movie.
Oh no.
Well, because they filmed it, I believe it was in Japan or a whole other country that didn't have the same type of protections for animals at that time.
Uh-uh.
Hmm.
Yeah, I won't watch it then. That is
But
craziness.
I have enjoyed seeing the cute little footage from Nosferatu of them playing with the rats on set
Oh yeah, that is cute.
because they used real rats.
Oh. Oh.
I'm that girl that when a rat scurries across a movie, I'm like, oh, I want that.
Oh, he's doing his job. Good job, Rat.
Uh, no, but The Great Mouse Detective was a very scary movie when we were children, especially
I didn't find that
the
scary.
bat when the bat busts through the cupboard.
Yeah, that okay. That was a
There
jump
were it
scare.
wasn't like
Yeah.
scary, but there were a couple really good jump scares in
Oh yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah, yeah.
And Radigan is one of the most under appreciated and
Villains.
underrepresented
Yeah.
villains in the Disney universe.
I remember
And he's voiced by Vincent Price.
watching that movie and seeing oh god, what's her name? The showgirl.
Kitty.
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 And being like, I wanna be her. And then I ended up doing burlesque as an adult.
That is so many people's origin burlesque story. A lot of people I talk to backstage is like, oh yeah, and that's me too. Exactly. I
Yeah,
used that song to audition in musical theater, and my friend was like, I hate this song. Why are you doing this? I was like, I love this movie. I want to be like her when I grow up, and now I'm a
yeah.
burlesque performer.
Yeah, I loved her, and I also loved the one from Fievel Goes West, the showgirl in that one too.
Miss Kitty.
Miss Kitty,
I
yeah.
think they're both Miss Kitty because they're inspired by Miss Kitty from Gunsmoke.
Oh, that makes sense then. Oh my
I believe
god.
is what was uncovered. We actually just had this
Yeah,
conversation
I
like
like that.
recently.
And my dad let me watch Blazing Saddles at a very young age, which
I have never seen Blazing
should have not
Saddles.
happened. Um, there's a lot of adult jokes in that for obvious reasons, but
I
there's a character in that is also a saloon performer, and
mhm.
she's very sarcastically not into performing. Like she just sleeps on stage and stuff, and I was like, I want to be her when I was like 5.
Yeah. Well, and then there's the episode of the Simpsons. We put the spring in Springfield
Yeah.
when Bart goes to work at the brothel. I believe is it a brothel or like the saloon or whatever it is. And they had all the dancers and everything, and they're like,
Yeah.
"We put the spring in Springfield." A lot of people have mentioned that as well as influences in
Yep.
being a burlesque performer.
Yep. It's it's funny what things influence you, whether that be stories online or in movies or whatever, bedtime stories. Like something always influences you as a child to like do something as an adult, whether that be a hobby or a job or what have you. It's crazy how that works.
Yeah. So thank you to Disney for creating The Great Mouse Detective, and thank you to Don Bluth for
Yeah.
creating Five Goes West.
Thank you, Don
It
Bluth,
helped
for
shape my future.
thank you, Don Bluth, for making sexy animals doing sexy jobs look appealing to children.
Even think though that it was the sexy part, it was the powerful on stage empowering part. I wasn't like, man, I want to be a sexy saloon dancer when I grow up. I was like, man, I want to be like her. She's commanding attention and she's on stage and she gets to wear cool costumes. I think that was the because I didn't even know what sexy was at that time. I just
I
remember
guess that's
thinking,
true. I guess that's true.
this is a very influential person and I want to be powerful like that person. I
Yeah.
want to hone my own type of like personal like power.
Yeah. You want that charisma, that,
Hmm.
as the youth say, the riz. You want the riz.
Yeah. Well, it's like I just like entertaining people, whether it's through sideshow, through a singing telegram, a burlesque podcast, whatever it is. I just like entertaining.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be sexy at all.
No, no, no.
Which most of the time I'm not, because most people will be like, "Oh my God, that was so cute." Or that was so cool. I've never had anybody be like, that was sexy. Most people are just like, wow, I
I
really
think a
enjoyed your
lot of
act. It was cool.
I think a
Or
lot of
cute.
people are too scared to say something like that anyways.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm okay with just a simple, like, I really enjoyed your performance. Cool, thank you. That's all I need.
Oh my gosh. I'm gonna have to. Oh, Mount Greylock is the other one I'm gonna. You know what? Greylock might be the one I show you for analog horror.
Analog horror.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so like,
Yeah,
what do
Mount
you want next
Greylock.
week?
Yeah,
Do
we
you
could.
want to compile some analog horror
Yes.
and you show it to me and we get my reaction?
Yeah.
JD reaction videos.
Yeah. I think that would be good. I think that would be great. I think I think you will enjoy it. At least I'll show you the episodes that have like the most action in it. Cuz a lot of it's like world building, obviously. But
And I think it's interesting too because I kind of want to see what you think because we have different opinions of what we like in our horror.
yeah, cuz I like world building. I love world building. I love concepts that are like it's out there but it's not too out there. Like the concept of something taking over the earth slowly. Um kind of like the thing where it's like taking over the whole entire base slowly. And the research base. I like that kind of thing. I like where it's like a slow, not a slow crawl, but like
Hmm.
like a little nuggets here and there of clues, and then it all comes together at the end. Like I like that kind of storytelling where it's like
Yeah.
letting me be smart rather than just showing me all at once. You know,
Hmm.
that
Yeah.
that's my favorite type of
That makes
horror.
sense.
Yeah.
I like suspense,
Hmm.
slasher, gore. Yeah.
Some of these do have gore in it. Lots of gore.
Did you see um well fuck. What's it called? Oh my God, I can't remember.
What was it about? Maybe I have.
It just came out. It was
I
called
might have.
a uh it hold on. What was the movie we watched on New Year's Eve? Oh, he's gone. Not the coffee table. The one we watched after. The one with the killer. Stalking the woods. A uh you know, he's stalking the girls, the yoga scene, the kill yoga scene.
A Violent Nature.
Thank you. I love you. A Violent Nature.
I have not watched that one. What
Oh my
platform was
oh
it
my
on?
god. Shudder.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
It's I like it. It's got a really unique, cool kill scene, and it's told from the perspective of the killer. The like the like the
Oh,
Jason-esque
yeah, yeah,
type
yeah.
killer.
Yeah.
And it's really it makes me think, man, it's exhausting to be a killer because of all the things that they have to go through and do. And he's like, I'm gonna walk from here and I'm gonna carry this body here and I'm gonna throw it through here and I'm gonna get this mask and I'm gonna walk back. It's definitely I enjoyed it. It's definitely an interesting movie.
So anyways, yeah, so we talked about all sorts of creepypastas and analog. Maybe next week we'll do an analog horror episode. See what Janie thinks of analog horror.
Be really good because I won't be able to really prep a lot being out of town. Hey,
Oh yeah,
Barry.
yeah, okay, yeah, that works out then. I will show her some analog horror, and she might like it or hate it. We'll see.
We'll find out. We'll
We'll find out. I
see.
have a good feeling that you'll like at least one of them.
I'm sure I'll like some of it. I like a
Yeah,
broad spectrum of things. I like,
one of them has a lot of body horror and monsters in it, and some of the other ones have like abstract monsters in it. So I think you'll like it. I think you'll like it.
I think I'll like it. I think I'll like it. So we'll see. We'll see next week how I feel about analog horror.
Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
So until next time, you guys stay spooky, have fun,
Stay spooky.
be safe while hunting cryptids and ghosties, and we'll see you
Mm-hmm.
next time.
Thanks.
Bye
Bye.
bye.